Hey YouTube, welcome to Honeybees and Apple Trees, where we try to educate you and connect homesteaders to others. So in this video, we are talking about our flow hive. And we had a little bit of a problem with our flow hive recently. Our flow hive went queenless about a week and a half ago. So in this video, what you're seeing me doing is going through my flow hive. I'm taking the top feeder off. What I'm going to be doing is looking to see where we're at with this hive, trying to see if we are queenless, what has happened. So you're looking, what we're looking at is the top feeder that I use. This is the B-Max Top Hive top feeder. I've got two deeps on, so I've got the lower deep, which is the regular for the flow hive, and then I've added a second deep to be able to give the colony room to expand, because I just don't know about not adding another deep and making sure that they have space. So I'm just checking the deep to see if they've drawn this out at all. And at this point, what I've noticed is they haven't drawn anything out. Now that makes sense to me because this hive has been queenless for quite some time now, about a week and a half, 2 weeks, and I just don't think that without having the queen, they aren't going to draw this out very well. So that's exactly what I would expect. Each of these frames is completely no comb here, so I'm going to go ahead and take this top off, and now I'm into the bottom deep here. I'm going to go ahead and look through this. Now with the flow hive, there is no foundation, which I've actually kind of come to enjoy. Each of these is a foundationless frame, and I'm just using my smoker here to make sure I kind of clear off the bees, make sure I don't smash any bees. I try to avoid that at all costs. And I'm just going to use the end of my hive tool to gently pry up on each of these frames to see where we're at. I'm going to be looking at the comb, trying to see if there are any eggs, any brood, and you can see that they haven't even started working on this frame at all. So I'll go ahead and set this frame aside, and I try to be gentle with my movements. I try not to agitate the bees. I definitely try not to squash any bees as I'm working. So I use my hive tool to gently pry up on the frames as I work through here. So I'm going to lift this up, and I love the sight of freshly drawn comb. There's just a slight bit here. It's fascinating to see the work the bees do, and you can see in this one they're just starting to draw out this comb right here. So that's a great sign. Lets me know they're working. They're having some success with drawing out comb on these these foundationless frames. And that's good to see. So one by one, I'm going to go ahead and pull out the rest of these frames. If there were a queen, I would expect to see some eggs within the middle 3 or 4 frames. So on these outer frames, what I'm really expecting to see at this point would be some food frames. So on the outer edge, I might be seeing some capped honey. I might be seeing a pollen band if the bees are doing well. And I probably wouldn't see any brood on these outer frames right here. So I'm going to take a close look at this frame. I'm seeing some good drawn out comb, and I'm actually seeing some capped honey. So what you're looking at right here on this edge is all of this capped honey, all of that white capped honey that the bees are working there right at the top center. So that's a good sign. I'm seeing that they're drawing this frame out. I'm seeing that they are capping the honey. So that'll be some good honey stores for them. I'm not seeing any eggs or brood, which is pretty predictable for an outer frame like this. I'm looking for the queen. I'm not seeing the queen still. Of course, I would expect. Now, again, I noticed with this colony that I had, there were queen cells about, like I said, about 2 weeks ago. I knew that there was no queen in this colony, And I knew I needed to do something about that, so they ended up making queen cells themselves, as they do. And they all hatched out, and so the queens went around and stung the other ones. Now, this frame right here, what you're seeing is some great capped honey, another food frame. We're seeing a pollen band around the edge, some of that darker orange pollen there. We've got a good amount of pollen. Again, no brood, no capped brood, but a good band of capped honey and pollen, which is exactly what we would expect to see. Another food frame. Now, these 3 or 4 in the middle here, we would expect to find eggs and brood. So I'm checking here, looking down in. Things are looking good, but again, a queenless colony, so I am expecting I won't find any eggs at this point, but I'd like to check to see if the queen has returned, to see if she has been mated on her drone mating flight, and I really want to see what's going on in this colony. So I've got a lot of activity here, so giving them another few puffs of smoke. I don't want to over smoke the frames here. I'm going to go ahead and gently pull another frame out. Now, if I had a queen, this is a great looking frame, so if I had a queen, I would want to start seeing some brood. You can see over there I've got a couple of queen cells that had been hatched out and removed. I've got a drone brood there, which is possibility of a laying worker type situation. But again, no brood on this inner frame. There is no eggs, just capped honey on the outer side. So again, this is a queenless colony. Now, at this point in the season, this is July. We're at mid-July. We're at July 17th. Having a queenless colony in July is not a great situation to be in. So I'm hoping that a mated queen returns very soon. I don't want this colony to be queenless. This is the first year for this. This was actually a caught swarm. The queen was either superseded or died. I'm not sure which. But at this point in July, I really don't want to have a queenless colony. So I have to decide what to do. That queen yet hasn't returned from her mating flight. If she does return and she has been mated, great. She'll start laying. If not, I'm going to have to start thinking about adding a queen to this colony, ordering one online, having it shipped to me. I've got some decisions to make coming up in this. So that's what we're thinking about with this flow hive. Now, as you can see, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this hive. I'm putting everything back in. I'm closing it up, putting my deep all back together. Now you're just seeing me push the frames together here because this is a tight hive. The flow hive, it does account for 10 frames, and it is tight in there. When you're working with a 10 frame deep, there's not a lot of space. So I'm going to go ahead and put my other frames back on top of this. Going to give it another week or so. I'll put my hive top feeder on. I'm going to give this about a week. Check it again. I will be hoping to see eggs after another week. But at this point, what we have is a queenless flow hive too, and we are hoping she returns. And so this has been our inspection. Thanks for watching, everybody.